CHICKEN. Use the code CHICKEN in the shop.
Hey guys, the Chickens here. Welcome back to another Boom Beach video. In today's video, guys, we're going to talk about how to get better at warships. We are nearly 65 seasons in at this point in the game, and I wanted to just go over some tips and tricks for new players or people that struggle regularly on how you can simply just get better at this game. Oh, we got a 29% troop damage. That was almost the max. 18%. That was a crap one. And let's add some more to the queue because that was kind of fun. Let's go like this, like that, and oh, we can only make 2 at a time, I guess. So first off, warships. Now, what do they say about Boom Beach? Come with a plan or leave in defeat, right? And that certainly goes for warships. If you just typically dive in and play, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're just kind of unlocked a bunch of stuff, and the trap you can kind of fall into pretty easily on day one is if you're not planning ahead, then it's very easy to unlock a bunch of stuff because you have so many keys at the beginning of the season and just like assuming that, you know, you're going to be able to keep that pace the rest of the season. So obviously that's not how it works. So spend your keys very carefully. I would say your first hour of warships probably has more to do with your entire season than, you know, any other hour. For sure in the entire season, because that's when you're spending the most keys essentially at one time. So you got to be very, thoughtful about how you go about doing that. So how do you go about doing that? What is the best way to find out? It's not always, easy to know, and there's sometimes different things end up being better than other things than you originally think, right? Honestly, the best way to do this is to stay plugged in to YouTube, watch the sneak peeks, watch what players have to say. Stay plugged in the community, Telegram, Discord, Reddit, whatever you like to be on, and just talk to people. That's kind of the fun of warships, is when the season starts. It's like, what are you guys thinking? Like, where are you gonna go? And just kind of theory crafting how you're going to play the season. It's fun. So that is important, but it's not as important as seeing what is already working for other people, because at that point that works. Typically it's more or less the same, but sometimes you can go totally off meta and it works. Like, for example, last season we did see a couple guys that went totally defensive, and it ended up being a pretty good route for them. And mostly everyone else was looking this season like, okay, there's no building health, it's got to be all offense. And for the most part, that's what worked, and that was fine. But there are sometimes multiple options. So how do you know? You got to watch the leaderboard. It's the simplest way of doing it. Just make sure you stay plugged in, watch the leaderboard, see what the guys are doing, see what they have compared to you. Not always best to go look at the guy that's the global #1 spot, because they're probably going to have a lot more tech than you do, right out of the gate. So what I like to do, especially when I'm going to look for a base to copy, which we'll get into in a second, is I like to see who's a rank or two maybe above me, so they've got pretty similar tech, but they've been able to figure out what's been working. So that's kind of how I like to do that. So say you've gotten past this point, right? You've got the tech lined up, you've got a good plan, you've got you're plugged in with the community. And everyone's saying like, yeah, like that's the right tech tree, and you did all that correctly and stuff, but you still can't figure it out. You still are not winning, or maybe you're 50-50, you're stuck, you can't rake up. What do you do at that point? At that point, I would check the base, #1, depending on if it's a defensive meta. Again, last season, for example, the base didn't really matter. They were all pretty much the same. Didn't make a huge difference. It wasn't like you lost 3 and you instantly go, oh, my base is wrong. It's more so weighted on the attack at that point. So depending on what kind of season you're in, I would check your base and check your attack. How do you do those things? You watch your replays. Watching replays can be a very helpful tool in your tool belt of warship stuff to get you off on the right foot. Or sometimes you'll see something that maybe not a lot of people are doing, and someone just pulled this crazy attack on you, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta try that, and then it works. So watching your replays is very good. What you don't want to do, and we're all guilty of this, especially the chicken, is get on a bad run and just start and just start losing and getting angry and not playing well and just being like, oh man, like this doesn't make sense, like we should be winning. That's not a good way to play the game. So try not to do that if you can. And, you know, you're going to be better off just, you know, taking your time, learning, that kind of thing. So once you've got that down, you know, you've won a couple, you really need to decide what you're going to do. So say you've ranked up a few times, you're like, okay, you know, I'm doing pretty good. How do I catch some of these guys that are still doing better and they're a little bit ahead of me? A lot of those guys are going to be playing the long game, right? Which is something I talk about pretty frequently if you watch videos back on the channel. With your tech, there's always this, you know, kind of place you'll find yourself in of, oh man, I could add this right now and that would be really good, but then I'm going to be late, you know, to something that's even better. So you'll see this happen a lot on the top of the leaderboard where guys will kind of hang out maybe around the same rank for a long time, and then just out of nowhere they'll shoot up like 5 ranks because they waited to get Seekers at 4 ER, they waited to get Heavy Choppers or whatever it is at 5 ER, waited to get, you know, that extra troop damage or building health or whatever it is, and nobody was able to stop them because nobody else had that tech yet. So you can do that, and you can do that at all levels. You know, as long as you're just doing your best for whatever rank you can get to with your tech at the moment, you know, and making sure that if you are starting out low, that you're making sure to prioritize just getting those rank chests, get those wooden rank chests, get those stone rank chests, get out of iron and get into gold as soon as you can. And that's going to put you on that same sort of path where you can start to do things like that. You can start to skip stuff, not get overly punished for it, and then start to really move ahead. So that's really the main difference between the top guys and the lower guys, is just more tech, better planning, and being able to execute in lower ranks with a little bit less tech if they need to do that. So yeah, that can be helpful. That can be helpful, and it kind of goes back into what we used to say, you know, base riding versus tech riding. Now, you can't always do base riding, but you can usually tech ride at one point or another, depending on, you know, how quickly you're able to move up. And I understand, you know, life happens. It's not always, you know, a perfect storm scenario where you're able to do all these things, but trying to give you the best tips so that you're able to implement that into your season and, you know, make a great season out of, you know, every single season of Warships, because that's the fun of this game. You get to the point where you can look at a tech tree, you can kind of break it down for yourself, and that's what I want all you guys to get to, because that's just going to make the game bigger and better for everybody. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Some of you Warship vets out there, throw some of your best tips and tricks down below in the comments, and let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you. Catch you next one. Check it out. Back.